my name is Sean Walker, and I'm a Principal Product Success Architect here at ServiceNow. Today I'm going to be talking to you about downgrade and upgrade rights. So what we're going to cover today is what are downgrade and upgrade rights. We're going to go through and talk about how downgrade rights work and how upgrade rights work. And then I'm going to kick into a demo and show you how to apply them live. So what are downgrade rights and upgrade rights? So basically, downgrading software is the process of purchasing license for one version of a software product but using an earlier version. Upgrading rights is the process of purchasing license rights to one version and being allowed to use a newer version. So for upgrading, this often requires the purchase of a software license with some sort of maintenance agreement. So for example, when you purchase some Microsoft products, you can purchase software assurance, and software assurance does come with that right to upgrade the software. So these maintenance agreements are generally for a set period of time, and they do need to be renewed if you want to maintain the upgrade rights. So as long, for example, that same example with Microsoft, as long as you continue to maintain the software assurance on those original licenses that you purchased, you will continue to get the benefit of being able to upgrade your software to the newest version without having to purchase a brand new license. So both of these processes really do require conformance to contracts. So each individual contract is going to be what specifies your upgrade and downgrade rights. You really don't want to ever assume that you have upgrade or downgrade rights without reviewing your specific software license agreement that you negotiated with the publisher or the vendor. So tracking of downgrade and upgrade rights is really useful during reconciliation. So these rights really do help reduce the number of rights required for other products. A lot of times you'll be going through a rollout phase where you're doing upgrades of specific versions of software to the newest version and making sure you have the downgrade rights to cover those older versions until you can get them upgraded is really definitely handy and keeps you in compliance. Downgrading is really a more common activity than upgrading because, again, that upgrading does require usually some sort of maintenance agreement to be able to maintain those rights. And if downgrade rights are associated with an entitlement, they're tracked against the entitlement's license rights as part of reconciliation. If they're associated with the model, they're tracked against all the entitlements for that model. So you really do have to consider where those downgrade and upgrade rights do apply. So how do downgrade rights work? So this is a fairly big slide, but I'll kind of walk you through it in the demo as well so you can see it live. So essentially, SAM Content Services does generate downgrade rights. The content services contains only downgrade rights for those publishers who have explicitly specified that a publisher part number has downgrade rights. So many publishers don't publish this information. So our content services does have downgrade rights, but a lot of times it's only for those major publishers who do publish the downgrade rights as part of a specific publisher part number. Downgrade rights, so they do correspond to a discovery map. So your just one discovery map will relate to another. So it's really important that your scheduled job download software content, downgrade rights, that's a weekly job. So you want to make sure that that's happening on a weekly basis so you're continuing to get any published downgrade rights into your content services. So those downgrade rights are, as I said, they're part of the DMAP, so they go and they get put into the SAMP DMAP downgrade model table, if you ever want to take a look at that. After that's done, there is a weekly job called SAM Create Downgrade Upgrades for Software Entitlements, which goes through and takes a look at the information that was downloaded in the DMAP downgrade model table and propagates the next version and the downgrade rights on the existing software model. So that scheduled job goes through and pre-populates those fields for you. And it also does the corresponding entitlements if there are any entitlements out there. If there's no software model for that corresponding discovery map that was downloaded, it will actually automatically create that software model for you so it can associate that next version with it. If the discovery map corresponds to the software model, it has downgrade rights, the downgrade rights related list is also automatically populated. And it does show that hierarchical list of downgrade versions for that specific software. So how do upgrade rights work? And they work a little bit differently. And so upgrade rights can only be applied on software entitlements where the license type is perpetual plus maintenance, or maintenance, making sure that the maintenance entitlement has specific entitlements associated with it. So this also does apply to other license types that are publisher specific. So you have, for example, the Microsoft has a perpetual plus SA or a software assurance license type, and the same would apply there. And so some of the other major publishers do have that. But again, making sure it's with SA or with maintenance is the key. So when that scheduled job that runs the create, downgrade, upgrades for a software entitlement, it's going to evaluate the next version field on the software model. If there's no published rights, like I mentioned, not a lot of publishers publish those downgrade rights. You may have to populate the next version on the software model field manually, and then for this job to be able to pick it up and realize that there is an upgrade right to apply. So when there is a next version specified, it will update the entitlement version to the one specified in the next version field. And again, that's assuming that your maintenance is still valid. So we'll be checking to see if your maintenance period, your start and end dates are still active. So when the reconciliation runs, it's going to then reconcile against the new entitlement version and its associated upgrade and downgrade rights. Okay, so now I'm going to jump into a demo on Washington, D.C. release of ServiceNow and show you upgrade and downgrade rights in action. Okay, so now I've logged into a ServiceNow instance with software asset management installed, and this is a Vancouver release. So I've navigated to the software asset workspace, and I want to take a look at my Microsoft project. So we're going to be taking a look at Microsoft project today and entering some entitlements and showing how downgrade and upgrade rights work. So I go to the license usage dashboard, I pull up Microsoft, and I can see here that Microsoft project doesn't actually have any entitlements in the system for it today. And I have 157 installations that all require some action. So I can see here that I got some installations for 2013 and 2016. So what we want to do is take a look at our documentation and see if we actually own any entitlements for Microsoft project. And in fact, we do. So we're going to take a look at what to do next. So if I come in here and I take a look under my license operations and I take a look at my software models, let's see if we have any software models in the system today for Microsoft project, and we don't. So we could create the software models manually, but we also can do it via the software entitlement. So since we went through our documentation and we found our software entitlement information, we can actually use that information to enter it, and it will automatically create the models for us because it has all the associated rights. So if you remember in the intro when I talked about specific publishers publishing downgrade rights for very specific part numbers, and that's what's included in our content services, we're going to go ahead and enter the publisher part number that we purchased. And as you'll see, what it's doing right now is it was looking for a software model to associate with it. And there was none there. If you remember, there was no software models for projects. So what the system has done is it's automatically created this software model for project 2016 because it knows based off this publisher part number that's associated with this particular software model. And if we take a look at our license details, it knows it's a perpetual plus software assurance license type. Now we also want to make sure we'll change this because we got our information from our enterprise agreement. So we're going to say this is an enterprise agreement type, perpetual plus software assurance. Remember, that's the key for upgrade rights. Metric group is automatically Microsoft, and the license, the metric is per device. So we're going to put in here the quantity. We have purchased 150 of those at a cost of $100 each. And we have, again, since this has software assurance, we need to specify our software assurance dates. So we're going to say that our software assurance started in May 1st, 2022, and it goes until May 1st, 2020, let's put 5. So 3 years of software assurance on this particular perpetual license that we purchased. So now we're going to save this and see what happens. Okay, so we can see that automatically it has created the downgrade rights for us. So it knows, because of that publisher part number, to create that software models, and it knows based off that publisher part number that there are downgrade rights associated with this particular entitlement. So we can see here all the different downgrade software that is applicable. So any installations found for these versions will be included as part of the consumption for this particular entitlement. So remember, we had 2013 and 2016 entitlements. We should see, once we reconcile, the 2013 being licensed with this 2016 entitlement. So now we are going to just make sure we publish this. And then we can actually take a look here at our license operation. Again, quickly go to our software models. Remember, before we put that entitlement in, we had no models. Well, because we've used the publisher part number and because of the downgrade rights, it knows and it created all of the associated models that are could be associated with that entitlement. So we've got all the way from 2000, 2003, all the way to 2019. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to run the reconciliation for Microsoft, and we are going to see what happened to the license usage. So I'm just going to run this reconcile for Microsoft and pause the video. Okay, so now the reconciliation has finished. And one thing I wanted to show you before we go back into the license usage and see what happened is, remember during our introduction, I talked about the software model and I talked about the next version, and that's how it's all related, and how the content services downloads the DMAP table for the downgrade rights. And you can see what it does here. So when it created that software model, 2013, it associated this discovery map, and this discovery map knows that the next version is project 2016. This is 2013. So that's the next version field that I was referencing in the presentation, and we'll show that in a little bit later, and we have to set that manually. So now we're going to jump back in to the license usage, and we're going to go back to Microsoft and see what happens and see how these downgrade rights applied. So we can see there are entitlements underneath here. So now we can see our 2016 professional, and we can see that the licenses required are 154. So we're still not compliant, even though it's showing compliant because I made it an enterprise agreement. That's why it's showing compliant, even though we're technically not. And that's per the terms of the enterprise agreement. So we can take a look at the licenses required, and we can take a look at the installs that are being covered by this, and we can see that, yes, in fact, the installations for 2013 are being captured, and the installations for 2016 are being captured as well. So even though this entitlement is for 2016, because of the downgrade rights, it is consuming a license for the 2013s as well because of the downgrade rights. So now, what would happen if somebody installs 2019, right? 2019 was just released. People go ahead and they start getting 2019 installed. Does our license cover this? Let's find out, right? Because we have the entitlement, and we take a look again at that entitlement, right? For project, we can see that we have perpetual plus SA. SA does grant us the upgrade rights, and we're still within our actual SA period. So 2019 was released in this period, and the content library was updated. And so let's see what happens when we do some installations of 2019 and how that upgrade right will automatically take effect within the system, because all of that information is published as part of our content. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add a couple of installations for 2019, and then we're going to take a look at what the license usage looks like, and then we're going to see what happens when that weekly job runs. So I'm going to pause the video, install those installations. Okay, so now I've gone and put a few installations in here for 2019 professional, and I've run reconciliation. So we can see here that we have 3 installs requiring action, and these are for project 2019 installations. So what we need to do now is wonder, okay, how do the upgrade rights apply? Well, if you remember in the presentation, the upgrade rights are applied automatically by a scheduled job that runs weekly. And so if we take a look at that scheduled job, and we can take a look at here, there's a schedule, create, downgrade, upgrades for software entitlements. Again, this is set to run weekly. So again, remember, this is one of those publishers that did publish the upgrade, downgrade rights in the content services based off of the publisher part number we put in the entitlement. So what's going to happen, and so what happened is when it populated that publisher part number, created all those models, and it populated that next version for you automatically, that's what's going to be looked at by this job. So this job's going to go through, take a look at all our models, and see if there's a next version specified for 2016. And so now we're going to see what happens when we run this job. So we're going to execute this job. It doesn't take very long to run, so we'll just quickly check our oops, not this one, the job results. And see, it's already finished creating and doing all the upgrade, downgrade rights for our existing entitlements. So we're going to take a look at our software asset workspace again. And we're going to take a look at our license operations, and we can see what's happened to our Microsoft Project 2016 entitlement has automatically been upgraded to Microsoft Project 2019 because it was a perpetual plus software assurance. It was still under those dates. And then the new version of 2019 was released. It was automatically upgraded our entitlement for us. So we can take a look here at our upgrade history. And we can see here, it's upgraded from the old software model of 2016 to the new software model of 2019. So this is our upgrade rights in action because of our software assurance. And again, our downgrade rights has now changed, right? Now it's gone to 2016 is downgrade rights. So I'm going to again pause, and we're going to run reconcile and show you what happens now after a reconcile, now that this upgrade right has been applied to the entitlement. Okay, so the reconciliation has finished, and I've gone back into the license usage for Microsoft, and I can see here that the entitlement has changed to 2019. And if we take a look here at what we've going on in our license metric, we still have, an issue where we're over licensed. But if we take a look at the licenses required, and we take a look at our installs, there's now 158 installs. And some of those are probably the 2019. So if I just filter for 2019 here, we can take a look. What did I do? All of the installations that's required for should be in here. And there's one of them here for Microsoft Project 2019. So we can see that the Project 2019 are being included. the 2016 and also some of the 2013s are all being counted as part of this one entitlement because of the downgrade rights and the upgrade rights that are available on this particular entitlement. So now let's take a look at another one. So this is where all the data was coming as part of our content services. So what if you need to apply downgrade rights and upgrade rights when the information is not in the content library? So if you remember, I said a lot of publishers don't publish the upgrade downgrade rights. That's a negotiated contract right that you may have negotiated with the publisher or vendor. So if we take a look at Camtasia here, we can see currently today we have 2019 in our environment, right? One there. We've got 2020 in our environment, which is compliant, where we're only using one because we do have an entitlement in the system for 2020. And then there's also an installation out there. There's two installations out there for 2021. So what do we do here? So we know we've negotiated upgrade and downgrade rights for Camtasia. So we need to change our entitlement to reflect that. So if we take a look at our TechSmith Camtasia entitlement, we can see here there are no downgrade rights. So let's apply a downgrade right to this particular thing. So we know we've negotiated part of our contract, the downgrade rights are included. So we have to create the downgrade right automatically because again, it's not part of the content library. So the software entitlement is Camtasia 2020, and we know we can downgrade one version to 2019. A lot of times they will specify how many versions back you can go. This could also be something you have to enter your start and end date, so whatever you've negotiated as your terms for how long you can downgrade for. I'm going to leave it blank for now. It should be fine. And now we can see that we've got a downgrade right applied for the Camtasia 2019. So that's going to take into effect that one installation. Now, how about upgrade rights? We've also negotiated upgrade rights. How do I apply this? So if we come back into our license operations and we take a look at our software models, if you remember that SAM scheduled job to create upgrade and downgrade rights is going to be looking at the next version field on the software model. So if we can take a look here at our Camtasia 2019, you see it's not, the next version is not here. So I can specify my next version by saying this is the next version from 2019, the next version is 2020. I can save this, and then I can also take a look, at my 2020 version. And again, it doesn't have a next version applied. So we know we've got upgrade rates. We know 2021 is the next version. So we're going to tell the system that Camtasia 2021 is the next version, and we're going to save that. So now we've made modifications to the entitlement to handle the downgrade rights, and our entitlement, again, we'll quickly go back to that, is if we take a look, the entitlement is a perpetual plus maintenance, and the maintenance period is still active. So because we've specified on the model the next version, when the scheduled job runs, it's going to automatically upgrade this entitlement the same way as it did for the Microsoft project. But again, we had to specify that next version manually because it's not in the content library. So we go ahead, we're going to run this SAM create downgrade upgrades job. And again, that job doesn't take very long. So we're just going to we're going to hop back to the license workbench, and we're going to take a look at the software entitlement. Let's just do a quick refresh here. And we can see that that entitlement now has changed to 2021. And we should start seeing it as soon as it refreshes, we'll start seeing the upgrade history. So now what I am going to do is I'm going to pause the video, run reconcile, and see what happened in the license usage. Okay, so I have rerun reconcile, and we can see here I messed up, so it's good to show you what I forgot to do. So we can see here that 2021 is now compliant, right? And I can see that I'm consuming 3 licenses, and it is going to be consuming the 2019 and 2021. But why didn't it do the 2020? Well, that's because I forgot a step. So when this software entitlement and that job ran, and it upgraded the entitlement because of our upgrade rights. And since there's no content in there, it didn't automatically assign a downgrade right for 2020. So I forgot to add the downgrade right for 2020. So I'm going to add that downgrade right in here and hit save. And now when I run reconcile, it should take into account the installations for 2020 as well. So I'm going to pause and do that again. Okay, so now I've run the reconcile again, and we'll take a look here, and now that looks much better because I added that downgrade right. We can see here that we've got 3 licenses required, only 3 still. How come? And we can come in and take a look at what's going on here. We can see that only 3 licenses are required, but there's 4 installs. But if we take a look, this 2020 and 2021 are installed on the same machine. So this is a right of multiple use. So it's only going to consume 1 entitlement, even though there's 2 installed, because I believe this is a per user license. So you're allowed to have more than 1 installation on the same machine. So, and that pretty much sums up the upgrade and downgrade rights. Okay, so today we reviewed what downgrade and upgrade rights are. We reviewed how downgrade and upgrade rights work. And then we walked through a demo of how to apply downgrade and upgrade rights either automatically or manually. For more information on these rights, you can go to the ServiceNow product documentation site, and there's a good article on downgrade rights. And there is a lot of information about upgrade rights in the software license maintenance article that should give you a bit more information. Thank you very much for your time today. I hope you enjoyed this video.